One of my favorite workout routines of all time is the classic push-pull legs routine. And in this video, I'm going to take you through the first part of that, the push workout. Hey, how's it going? It is your muscle building coach, Lee Hayward. And right now I'm going to take you through a workout routine that I did the other day up at Platinum Health and Fitness in Conception Bay, South Newfoundland. And this one is a push workout. So we're going to focus on all the pushing or pressing muscles of the upper body, meaning the chest, the shoulders, and the triceps. And it's a great way to pair up all these muscle groups together because a lot of these muscles work in a complementary fashion. When you're training your chest, you're also bringing in the shoulders and triceps as secondary muscles. When you're training the shoulders, you're bringing in the chest and triceps as secondary muscles. And of course, when you're training the tris, the chest and shoulders come in again as secondary muscles. So they all work together in unison. And by pairing up your workouts like this, where you're doing your pushing muscles one day, you're pulling muscles the next, and then legs on the following day, you're working your body in a complementary fashion to maximize muscle stimulation, maximize that recovery, and ultimately maximize your gains. So, without further ado, let's jump into the workout. And the first exercise of our push workout is the bench press. And this is the king of upper body pushing exercises because it's going to hit the chest, it's going to hit the shoulders, and it is going to hit the triceps. So what I do is I always start off with a light warm-up weight, literally the empty barbell. And the purpose of this is just to get in the groove of the exercise. I want to just make sure that the bench and the rack is all set up to my liking, and then I'm going to do several progressively heavier warm-up sets. Never skimp on your warm-up sets, especially for that first exercise of your workout, because this is where it can literally make or break your progress, because a lot of guys end up trying to do too much too soon, especially with an ego move like the bench press, and that's where a lot of injuries happen, right? There's been more torn pecs, there's been more blown rotator cuffs, and more, just aches and pains and setbacks from trying to bench press too much than probably any other exercise in the gym. So I'm a big fan of the bench press. I love it. I find it works good, but you have to respect it. And that means doing warm-up sets. Do not skimp those. I can't drive that home enough. Do your warm-up sets and respect your body. Once we get, get in the groove here, we're going to do several progressively heavier warm-up sets and working our way up to around 8 to 10 reps for a heavy weight. Now, that's all relative to the individual. Don't get too hung up on, what the dude next to you is benching or whatever. Just focus on what is heavy for you with lifting within your means and using proper form. That's the main thing. So I always recommend to try and lower the barbell down in a full range of motion, touch your chest, press it all the way up, and don't get too hung up in ego lifting. Use this as a muscle building exercise, train within your means, and you will make better gains over the long term. Now, if you need some help with mastering the bench press, I've got a full video dedicated to proper bench press technique and how to bench press more weight safely and with less risk of injury. So what I'll do is I'll put a link to that video up in the cards. I'll also put a link to it down in the video description below so you can go check that out. But in the meantime, for this workout, what I want you to focus on is doing as many progressively heavier warm-up sets as you feel you need to get up to your top working weight. And then once you're there, keep that same weight for 3 sets of around 8 to 10 repetitions and make sure to use proper form with each rep. So after the bench press, we're going to move on now to a fully stretched exercise for the chest, and this is the Incline Dumbbell Fly. Now, I really like this variation of the dumbbell fly because I find it gives me a really good stretch throughout the upper chest. And when you incorporate stretch exercises like this into your workout, it can really help to increase muscle activation. I find the combination of doing big mid-range power exercises like the bench press, followed by stretching isolation exercises like the dumbbell fly, is a great way to really hit the muscles from different angles, different ranges of motion, and I find I get an amazing pump. So this one right here, the incline bench variation, tends to work a bit more of that upper pec area, and this is a stubborn area of the chest for a lot of guys. So I definitely recommend that you do some of your chest exercises on incline bench to target that upper chest area. I mean, if you want, you could even do like incline barbell bench presses and incline dumbbell flies, but in this case, I chose the flat barbell bench and the incline dumbbell fly. I mean, you have some flexibility with it. If you want, you can switch it up, you can alternate them, but bottom line, you do want to do some work for the upper chest area to fill that out. Now, a word of caution here. The dumbbell fly is a stretch exercise. It is not a power exercise. So don't make the mistake of trying to lift too heavy in this move. You're much better off taking a moderate weight and really feel the muscles stretch as you do each repetition rather than getting caught up in trying to lift too much. If I want to make the exercise harder, I actually slow the tempo down. Like I will purposely hold that stretch for a second or two in the bottom and use a slower tempo to get more muscle activation and make the lighter weights feel heavier versus simply trying to lift heavier weights, because sometimes when you lift too heavy in this exercise, it can just increase your risk of injury, and obviously there's nothing that's going to set your progress back more than getting injured. And moving on in the workout, we're going to do some work for the shoulders with the dumbbell shoulder press. Now, this exercise can be done either standing or seated. It's not that one is right or wrong, there's actually advantages to both variations. I'm doing it standing because I like the fact that it requires more balance and stabilization versus when you're seated and using a back support. Now, the benefit of a back support is it usually allows you to lift heavier weight. So again, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's not that one's right or wrong. You choose the variation that's more important to you. At this stage of the game, I'm more interested in developing that well-balanced core stabilization versus simply lifting heavier weight. Now with this exercise, we're really going to focus on working the front and side deltoids primarily, but the triceps are going to come into play as secondary muscles, as well as the chest and the upper back. I mean, even right here on the video, you can see the muscles of the upper back are still working, even though this is a shoulder press variation. So like a lot of times people just think that you're working the targeted muscles, but there's so many other muscles that come into play as balance and stabilization muscles as well. Now with the shoulder press, what I want you to do is start off with a couple lighter, progressively heavier warm-up sets, and then work up to your top working weight set that allows you to get at least 10 good repetitions per set. And then keep that weight for 3 sets of 10 reps. Next up in the workout, we're going to do some dumbbell side lateral raises to isolate the side head of the deltoids. And for this one, you don't need to use heavy weight, but you do need to use very strict form and really focus on holding that peak contraction at the top of each repetition. Now, there's a critical technique tip that I want to share with you here, and that is to primarily focus on lifting with your elbows. You notice that at the top of the movement, my elbows and wrists are kind of in alignment. And that's because I'm really focusing on getting my elbows high versus just simply getting my wrists high. A lot of times you'll see guys do this and like they'll swing the weights up and the wrists are actually higher than their elbows at the top of the movement. That's a mistake. You're not going to get as much muscle activation in the side delts that way. So really focus on getting the elbows high, which in turn will then activate those side delts. Now, as far as the sets and reps, you just want to start off with a light weight to get used to the exercise, and then jump to your working weight and do around 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions. And the final body part in our push workout is the triceps. Now, my favorite tricep exercise of all time has to be the Tricep Push Down. This is basically to your triceps what barbell curls are to your biceps. So it's a good one for really working the tris through a full range of motion. You get good isolation and you can lift relatively heavy weight with strict form. So what you want to focus on with this exercise is going through that full range of motion. You'll notice that as I lower the handle, I actually let my forearm come all the way up until it touches my bicep in the top, and then I push the handle all the way down until I lock out my elbows and get a good squeeze at the bottom. And by doing this, you'll get that full range of motion throughout the exercise and get a really good pump in the triceps. So for the tricep push down, I recommend that you start off light, just go through the motions to pump up the triceps and warm up the elbows, and then work up to a top heavy weight that you can handle for about 10 repetitions with good form, and keep that weight for 3 sets of 10 reps. And the final exercise of the workout is the tricep dip. Now I'm using this as a high rep
finisher. So I'm not using any extra resistance here. I'm just using my body weight and literally doing 3 sets of as many reps as I can do with good form. And I find that this is a phenomenal way to really pump up those triceps. And again, you will feel it in the chest and shoulders, especially as you lower yourself down. You're really going to get a good stretch throughout that front head of the deltoid and across the chest. So this is a nice exercise to finish off your workout with. Now, I will caution you, don't go too deep with this exercise, because sometimes when you go excessively deep in the bottom, you risk overstretching and overstraining the shoulders. So you want to be a bit cautious of that and keep the range of motion to the point where your elbows are bent at 90 degrees. There's no need to go any lower than that, and it's just going to place unnecessary strain on the shoulder joint. And an optional exercise that you can do at the end of the workout is some work for your abdominals. And this is something that I like to do myself, because I find that instead of having one dedicated ab training day, I like to just throw in an abdominal exercise with each workout that I do. So in this case, I'm doing some decline bench sit-ups, and this is a great one to work that entire frontal abdominal wall. You're going to get your upper abs, you're going to get your lower abs, it's going to bring in some obliques as stabilizer muscles, it's even going to work the lower back to a degree to help balance and stabilize your core. But this is one of my favorite abdominal exercises for building strength and muscular development throughout the entire frontal abdominal wall. So what I'm doing here is 3 to 4 sets, maybe 15 to 25 reps. It really depends on your individual work capacity here, but shoot for just high repetitions using your body weight and really focus on squeezing and contracting your abs with each repetition.
And there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed the workout. Now, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback about it, please feel free to post those down in the comment section below, and I will chat with you down there. And if you'd like to get the entire push-pull legs workout training program so that you can follow along, then download the Total Fitness Bodybuilding app, because this is just one of many workout programs that are included in the app, along with a whole bunch of other goodies. You're going to have healthy, high-protein recipes, there's a full exercise database, sample workout programs for beginner, intermediate, and advanced lifters, nutrition advice to help you gain lean muscle, burn off that stubborn body fat. There is a ton of value. And so if you haven't already done so, head on over to the App Store or to Google Play and download a copy of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding app. Again, it's available for both Apple as well as Android devices. So whatever you got, you're covered. So there. Now, if you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. Click that subscribe button, click that bell, get the notifications coming through so that you stay up to date whenever I add new videos. And I will talk to you in my next video coming soon. Take care, over and out.